Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Girl Let's Agree to Disagree. I'm your host, Jessica Milagros. I'm here with Busy Blue. It is a
What's up?
Saturday, y'all. We don't do Saturdays. Saturdays are not my jam when we don't really do lives on Saturdays.
We don't.
Um,
We don't. Feels good though.
it does. I've been doing more interviews I've done more interviews this past week as that I had
You've been
the whole season.
busy.
I've been busy and my name's not even busy. Everybody, we are live, baby. Everybody smash that
Boom.
click like, subscribe, click to receive our notifications. We're doing this pretty much every week. We have 2 more interviews tomorrow. We have 2 interviews on Tuesday, maybe even 3. I don't even know. I lost count. But we're counting down to my birthday, 6
I
days, baby. I think
know.
it's 5 days. I don't even know. It's been
I don't
crazy.
think is it 5 days? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
My
Wednesday,
birthday's
Thursday,
October 14th.
Friday. Yeah, so it is 5 days.
No, my birthday's on the 14th, and today's the
Yeah.
10th. So 4 days. We're counting down 4 days. I don't even know
It's
what
the
day I live in.
ninth.
I don't know what day I live in.
Today
Seriously.
is the ninth.
Is it?
Girl.
Again, I have no idea. I don't know what day I live in, guys. It's not my fault. It's not
What do
my
you want for your
fault.
birthday? Like, if you could have anything, what could it be? What would it be?
Um, I don't
Think
know.
long and hard.
If I could have anything for my birthday, I would
Mm-hmm.
like for each and every person on here to donate to my Hearts of Reality campaign. I'm
Okay.
going to be at the Hearts of Reality event in December. So I am raising money for Give Kids the World. So it's in our little comments, on the comment box in the details. Click. Give me $5. I don't care. Give me 5. Give
Oh.
me 10. Give me $1. I don't care. I'm just trying to raise money for the children. That's what I'm ready for.
All right,
We're
Max, put it in there. Put it in the chat.
Yeah, everybody come. Okay, so today we have, I mean, seriously. Wait, first of all, thank you, Joseph. He's like, girl, let's agree to disagree, is giving us this post BB content. It's my favorite postseason content because they ask the questions
Oh.
other podcasters are afraid to ask. Look, we just ask. If they answer, that's great. And if they don't, that's great too. Just let a little note that this is called Girl Let's Agree to Disagree. So obviously the things that I say, the things that Busy say, the things that our guests say, you may agree or may not agree with them, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point. Just be respectful in your comments. We will be blocking people. Also, I will. I'm already tired. I'm tired. I had it enough on my season. I
Yeah.
think by this time, 2 years later, I'm a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing but love over here. And
Always.
also a great way to support the show is by super chat. If you have a question for our guest today, make sure if you want us to see it, you want us to ask it, make sure you use a super chat. That's the best way to support the channel and also for us to see it because we're not always looking at the chats. Okay. And without further ado, let's get to this. I'm so excited. She gave us so much to talk about.
Yes.
Our guest today. Let me get this out of here because I'm doing SB Nation tapped in. Ooh, we already have people here. They're excited. We're all excited. She gave us content for so many weeks. We saw her and her. I loved her voice. She had a great singing voice, by the way.
Remember, she scared me throughout the season.
She did. We'll talk to her about that. Guys. My eye is still tearing up, not because I'm
Oh,
crying
you're so
joys of
happy.
happiness. Yeah, tears
Yes.
of happiness. No. Yeah, but let's get to it. We're gonna introduce the one, the only Sarah Beth.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for having me on. I'm so
Yeah,
excited, Jessica. I loved you on your season. You
thank
nominating both the
you.
Jacks at the same time. Iconic
Boom.
forever. Love it.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that we finally actually get to talk to each other because
Yes.
when we did your jury interview, it was questions and I felt so bad because I was like, I actually want, when I found out I wasn't actually going to be face to face with you all, I was just like, no, but I want to.
Yeah, it was a bummer. It was definitely a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you. There are people here. They're like, hey, Sarah Beth.
Hey,
Welcome.
everybody.
Everybody here is excited. There's a few, like, okay, let's get right to it. How do you feel? Let's start with the easier questions. Like, how do you feel? How are you transitioning?
Coming out of the Big Brother house and into the real world was really crazy. Of course, the first thing I get hit with is, whoa, I had a villain edit. And I've got to admit, I did not expect that at all. And at first, I kind of resisted it because I was like, what? I was nice to people. I didn't even say anything that mean. But then when I really watched some of the clips and looked back at it, I realized that, like, I was nice to my fellow house guests, but I was not pandering to America at all. I was not caring what they thought and was not sucking up to them. So then I was like, you know what? I think the villain edit kind of fit me, and it makes me feel pretty cool. So that was something I never expect. I'm not the type of person who usually feels like a cool, I've got like people in my DMs like, ooh, like villainous baddie. And I'm like, me, a baddie? I've never felt like a baddie, but I'll take it.
Yeah, well, yes, this is definitely not just the edit, because I feel like if anything, the edit, and even we saw live feeds, but I don't feel they were very far off. Like, I don't feel like they edited you in a way that was very far off from what we saw on live feeds. How have you watched back anything? Like, what do you know?
I haven't. Yeah.
Not even the first episode?
I watched just our intros because we all were curious to see like what our little like home video getting our key reveals would be, and that is all I've seen of the show besides clips that people have sent me here and there. So I haven't seen the show yet. I'm not sure when I'm gonna watch it, but I've heard a lot from my friends and family as far as like what they got from the show versus the live feed. So I have a little bit of an idea.
Yeah, and are you happy with that?
I think I'm okay with it. I think there were some things that I wish got portrayed a little bit more, but I think if anything, it was more on me because I didn't take advantage of talking directly to the cameras about my game. I think I really relied on the show to show my diary rooms for people to know what was going on in my head. And I have realized that that was not a good plan and that's not what happened. So I think there were a lot of things going on in my head that like my friends and family had no idea about. So I feel bad that I didn't talk to the cameras more and kind of take that time, that opportunity to explain why I was doing things that I was doing.
Is that a tip you would give to other people who join the house, like talk to the camera more? Or I mean, do people just that you go in the house feeling like, okay, I hope that they give my diary room edits and show the people what I'm thinking?
I agree with her.
That is definitely a huge tip I would give people. I went into the house thinking I was going to interact with the cameras a lot. And then they gave us, some tips and rules going into the house. And one of them said, oh, live feeders hate when you talk to the cameras. Don't do it. So I was like, oh, they don't like that? Okay, I just won't do it then. So I very, very rarely did. And I have learned coming out of the house that that's not even really true.
Yeah.
So I wish I hadn't taken that advice from them, and I wish I had just talked to the cameras as much as I wanted to.
I agree with that. I actually agree 1000%. Because that's kind of, I wasn't one that talked to live feeders either. They kind of, at least production kind of tries to have you steer away from that. And so I totally get it. I guess kind of going backwards, my question for you, Sarah Beth, is how versed in Big Brother were you prior to all of this?
So I had seen a few seasons while they were airing when I was pretty young. I think it was 13 and 14, if I'm remembering correctly. I had watched as they aired. And then I had not watched Big Brother until last season, 22. And after 22, I decided to apply. And in between applying and getting on the show, I marathoned as many seasons as I could. But I didn't have really any experience watching live feeds.
Hey,
So you're good. I feel like I had a good knowledge of the show and how it worked, and I had seen a bunch of seasons, older seasons and newer seasons. But the only time I ever watched live feeds was a little bit during 22, and I do feel like that kind of hurt me because I did not understand the extent of to which the live feeds worked. Like, for example, I thought if I was alone in a room that certainly live feeds weren't on me. Like, I just assumed anytime I was alone people weren't watching me, and that was definitely not the case. So some embarrassing moments there.
yeah, that was sorry. And I have like two little doggies over here. So if
They're
you
so
all,
cute.
if I know, but they're very loud sometimes, especially when people walk by. So if I mute, you all know why. Yeah. So that that's kind of very similar to myself, Sarah, because it's kind of like I was also one that really just watched the show. I've been watching since season 10, but I was never a live feeder. And that is just like such an important thing to go into, because if people don't know what you're thinking unless you're actually vocalizing it.
Right.
So and we expect that what we're saying in the DR, like the process and everything, is going to be explained, but there's also like 15 other people in the house, so it's like they kind of go toward whatever the most, whatever is happening the most. And on your season, the most was happening.
I know.
So you did know that the most was happening, right?
Yes, yeah. We got a hint when we realized that they were showing the veto meeting like on the live eviction episode. And we were like, was there so much going on that they couldn't even fit the veto meeting until then? And we were like,
Yes.
whoa, what's going on in this house?
It was so much. How much did you know that people, did you think or have an idea that people were gaming that hard? Or like, what was your overall like initial, like what people were doing inside this house while you were there?
I think it really wasn't until the week 5 when I was on the block with Christian that I got the impression that people really were scheming and gaming and thinking ahead. Up until then, all of the evictions had felt kind of cookie cutter, like, oh well, it makes sense, his own team doesn't like him. Brent's got to go. Frenchie was crazy. Frenchie had to go. The guys were worried about Whitney voting for a woman, so Whitney had to go. Everything felt so like, okay,
Organic.
okay. Yeah, organic. And so then when it was me and Christian on the block, that was the first time that I realized that, like, okay, votes can flip in this house. There's definitely stuff going on. There's drama, there's fighting. And from that moment on, I definitely felt the pressure of, okay, like, these are people who really came here to game, and I've got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. I like, okay, so I'm sorry. I'm like also watching comments. So just thank you, Jamie B. We do need a mod. I don't have a mod. I will figure it out. There's a lot of people doing things on here. So like I already had to block somebody. Don't worry, they were blocked. So I apologize for that. Sometimes we have some really weird things happening here, and it ends up throwing my focus. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we are not. We're pretty used to.
We sure are.
It's
I have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about you being in the room by yourself a lot, and it was one of the iconic moments of the season. And I'm sure you know what we're gonna ask.
Yes.
But how often do you freestyle nursery rhymes? And would you be able to do one right now?
Oh my gosh. So I actually am pretty notorious for rewriting lyrics to songs to match my life or what's going on. I do that among my friends a lot. I don't know if I could do one right now under so much pressure, but that's not abnormal for me. My friends saw that and were like, oh, she's back on it. Honestly, it was so crazy getting out of the house because I had so much had happened. I did not remember even slightly that I did that until it was Christian. I think Christian had come out to LA and Christian brings it up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I saw it and I was like, oh no, I did sing that. And again, it was one of those moments where I was alone in the room, so I didn't think the live feeds were on me. Of course, I knew there were cameras on me, but I didn't think it was live streamed, but it looked like it was, so that's pretty crazy. But I think, I don't know when it got put into the show, because Christian was under the impression that I sang it after the veto meeting, and I was like, no, like this song was before we even played the veto, because I was trying to like hype myself up and thinking about playing the veto and trying to win, and I was really stressed out. And I had a conversation, I think earlier that day or the day before, with Claire, I think, and she was talking about mantras. And so I think I just started singing the song in my head, just trying to like clear my thoughts and not focus on it. And then, because I am who I am, I started changing the lyrics to it. And it really wasn't like a ha-ha, like I'm gonna betray my team. It was actually like I'm gonna win the veto, and then it's gonna send Christian home, and that stinks because he's my teammate. But watching the edit, it looks so sinister. It cracks me up.
It sure does.
It does. So the way they edited it with the music, it's so funny. It made me laugh until I cried. Like, I can't believe that made the show. So yeah, it's pretty. I don't even know what to say.
You actually have a few of those moments.
I was terrified. I said, okay, now I'm scared of Sarah Beth for the rest of the season. So I think you did a great job, whether or not you feel like it was sinister, and they did a great job editing, because I was like, oh my God, she's going to take all these people out. I was like, she's a force to be reckoned with.
I mean,
that was the plan.
That's the name of the game, right? The name of the game is take everybody out. So obviously, yes, but it looked, I personally didn't have any problems with it. I was like, that's hilarious. And Busy's like, I'm scared.
It was iconic. I don't think I've ever seen it before, and it was great, but it scared me.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, you have a few iconic, I feel like you have a few iconic phrases, you know, another one being, you could wipe your with your BB bucks.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, when you said that, were you upset? Were you just kind of like whatever at this moment? Like when you said it, how were you feeling?
It was kind of a combination of things. Like, I was talking about the veto and my decision to take the punishment BB bankruptcy, and I was just like, well, duh, I would take it. Like, America is not giving me money for whatever reason, like, and so that's why it came out like they can wipe their butts with the BB bucks. Like, I don't have enough, I can't do anything with them. And so it was somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but then somewhat genuine frustration, because it was like, who even cares about the BB bucks at this point? They're useless to me. I don't get enough to do anything with them. Of course, I didn't know that we were going to get the surprise BB buck envelopes the next week, so, you know, if I'd had a little bit more, I could have played Coin of Destiny, so maybe, you know, but I was getting 50 every week, no matter what I said, so.
Yeah, that can get a little frustrating when you know that, you know, America is not giving you anything and is giving certain people things. Were you paying attention to who was getting these, and did you think that put a target on their back?
Oh, yes. I already suspected that, you know, Derek X might be America's favorite player. So when he confirmed to me that he did get 100 BB bucks, it was just kind of like, okay, this guy is really dangerous. And then it was also interesting to me to see that like both me and Kyland had gotten the 50. And I had to think, does that mean people don't like him and I'm drugged down by that? Or maybe people don't like me and he's drugged down? Or maybe they just really don't like either of us. So, and I remember so many times trying to convince him. He was like, no, it's because we're not in danger, or because I'm in power, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Kyle, you really just need to be prepared to get out of this house and for America to just not like you. But he didn't listen to me, so.
I mean, that's a real feeling inside of the house. Let's talk about, well, yeah, actually, now that you mentioned Kyland, let's talk a little bit about Kyland, if we could. Like, your current relationship with him, like, or with everybody else in the house. Like, how does that look now that you're outside of the
Mhm.
house?
It was really nice that I got to spend time in the jury house because I felt like outside of the pressure of the house, I was really able to get to know all of them on a personal level. And I was definitely closed off and guarded in the house. There was a lot of things that, because I was on national television, I didn't want to talk about. And so I was able to kind of open up and tell more of my story to people when we had the privacy of the jury house. And that made me a lot closer to them. And I'm really, really, really grateful for that experience. And I think because of that, since we've gotten out of the house, we're all still talking to each other and remaining friends. And I feel really confident that the whole group of us is going to continue to be friends. I still feel close, and I have a lot of admiration and respect and love for my fellow house guests.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
with Kyle, as I call him since he
Yes, you
betrayed me,
do.
um, with him in particular, it's going to be a journey. I told him, like, it can't just pick up where we left off, because where we left off, that there was a lot of manipulation and lies revolving around that. So we just kind of have to start over and build a relationship from there. But I am willing to do that because I don't have it in my heart to hate anybody that I played this game with. It's just impossible for me. So I do think that me and Kyle will continue to be friends.
Yeah, that speaks volumes about just the type of person you are, because there are not a lot of people that feel the same way. Like sometimes you get betrayed and like that's it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always going to say it, I'm a broken record. I say, it's a game, but we don't play it as a game. I mean, yes, it's a game, but there's real relationships that are formed. There's real trust that is built, and then it's up to that person, each individual person, to say like this wasn't real to me, or if it was. And some people do play with their real hearts and with what they would do in actual real life, and sometimes that hurts. So
Yeah.
I like so I'm sure people are sending you tons of like clips, maybe
Yes.
messages or things of that nature. Don't trust this person. Don't talk to this person. Don't do this. They did this to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have you seen any of those? And do you take any of those to heart?
Yeah, I have definitely gotten a lot of those, in particular in regards to Kyle. I think a lot of people felt like he went way too far in a way that was dangerously manipulative, and like he
Okay.
gaslit me. And I saw a lot of things when I got out of the house, of even close friends of mine and family members, like hoping that he stayed in the game just so he wouldn't go to the jury house and be with me. Like they were very concerned. I mean, I had people tell me, like, don't give him your phone number, never speak to him again. This guy is dangerous. And I was so confused because
Oh, wow.
I didn't feel that way, even though
Yeah.
I felt like I knew more than anybody how he had, treated me in the game. And I think part of it is what I alluded to earlier, where I didn't talk to the cameras as much. I definitely think Kylan manipulated me, but there were a lot of times that I was playing into it. I definitely stroked his ego. I definitely let him think he was controlling me at a lot of points in the game. I also did a lot of things that I thought were painting a target on his back. Once it became apparent that we were definitely going to sit on the block together, that was a huge reason I wanted to target Derek X, because I thought me on the block next to Kyland with Derek X in the house, I felt like he would want Kyland there over me, and he had influence over Chada and Tiffany and Claire. I thought, I don't want to sit next to Kyland if Derek X is in the house. I want him gone before I sit next to Kyland, because I think Kylan might go if Derek X is gone. Also, I was planting seeds during my one-on-ones before my HOH nominations, like, oh, I don't want this to be Kylan's HOH, version 2. But then I purposely talked to him very last, and a huge reason that I ended up nominating Claire and DF is because I thought people will think Kyland did this and Kyland talked me into it. And then hopefully that paints a target on Kyland and makes me just look like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing in this game. I'm not a threat. I'm just stupid. I'm Kyland's puppet. And then maybe if we sit on the block together, people will send him home instead of me. And I tried to hone that in even after my nominations. I remember telling Claire and Tiffany, I regret it. I never should have nominated Claire. This was lack of foresight on my part. I really wanted to build this narrative like I was non-threatening, and I was hoping to get that target on Kyland. And these are things that I feel like I did express in the DR a little bit, but I don't think that they got aired, and I didn't say to the cameras. So as much as I think people were thinking like Kyland completely betrayed me and was manipulating me, I was definitely doing a lot of that in return to him. So I can't completely be angry at him when I was playing the same sort of mind games. If anything, looking back on my game, I think a lot of people think my biggest mistake was trusting Kyland. But the more I assess it, I think my biggest mistake was underestimating Kyland. Because I really thought, you know, he would say things to me looking back on it that were clues. I remember him, you know, being like, oh, I'm good with Chada, or oh, I'm good with Tiffany, and thinking, no, you're not. They don't even like you. And I remember at one point him being really shocked that I said I felt like I used to be close to Azza and we used to talk game. And he was like, you never talked game with Azza. Like, you weren't close. And I remember thinking, what? Why would you have any
How would
idea?
you know?
Yeah, why would you have any idea who Azza was? And if I had paid attention to those things and taken them seriously, I think I could have started piecing things together. But I just kind of thought Kyland was, you know, he had a big ego. I thought he didn't have a good read socially on the house. So I just kind of was like, okay, Kyland, and never paid attention to those things. So I think the fact that I was underestimating him really led me to overlook so many clues that I so wish I had paid attention to, because that would have helped me out in the game.
Yeah. And I mean, the consensus is that, yeah, he does have a big ego. I think that's a general overall consensus. I mean, we're going to have him on a little bit later in the week, but that you were right. A lot of what you thought about him was probably what a lot of America was also seeing. And I mean, some people might, especially life eaters, I feel like they're kind of a different type of breed. No shade to the life eaters, but it's really hard for people to watch you play if you are not telling America, hey, this was bullshit. I didn't really mean it. You know what I mean? Or like, how do I know that Sarah Beth, everything that Sarah Beth told him was actually true? Like, everybody lies in that house. Like, I tried to play the dumb card, and I came out and people are like, she didn't know shit. And it's like, no, we do know things. It's a little hard to not know things. I mean, it's not like there's only 16 people in the house, you know, and then it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You're bound to know things, you know what people tell you. But even the life eaters see it and they're like, wait, was that real or was that not real? Were they lying or were they not lying? Who are they really, connected to? So that being said, like, who were you really connected to? I know it was, should we all call him Kyle or do we call him Kyland now? People are asking, why do you call him Kyle? Just for those that haven't watched your other interviews, why do you call him Kyle?
So while we were in the house, I said multiple times that if he ever betrayed me, I was going to call him Kyle. It came because there's like name tags on our luggage, and his name tag said KYL and it looked like Kyle. And he was like, oh, I hate that. Never call me Kyle. And I was like, well, you better never betray me, because if you do, I'm calling you Kyle forever. And as you guys all know, he did betray me. So now he is Kyle.
See,
sorry, Kyle. Is there one thing that sticks out to you the most of all the betrayal you feel? Is there one thing that you're like, okay, nope, I can't look past this?
I think, there are some things, but I don't want to talk about them just yet, because I actually, Kyle and I are planning to have a discussion with each other later in the week where we're really going to talk and work some things out. So I'm going to save that for then. But yeah, there's definitely pain that I have that I need to work through with him in order to really have a healthy friendship again. But I have every intention of doing the hard work that it takes because I don't want to lose him from my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's beautiful. And, I mean, obviously, Kyle isn't the only person. I mean, everybody does like weird things inside of the house. Like, I mean, we're all very skeptical. We don't know what you're saying is true or false or whatnot. For a big moment in time, I'm sure that you knew people thought that your girlfriend Shelly was not real.
I know.
And so people are asking, like, do you forgive people for maybe like thinking she wasn't real? Have you had conversations and jury with, people who, someone like Tiffany or Chada or DX, like about things that they may or may not have done in the house? Like, are you aware of those things? And is everything all good?
While I was in the house, I was honestly pretty oblivious to the extent of which people had all kinds of theories about me. I really was left out of the loop as far as that went. But of course, getting to the jury house, Kyle clued me in my last week there. He finally just broke it down and told me flat, like, people don't think that Shelly is real. And I remember being like, what? Like, what? They don't? And then when I got to the jury house, I really got the full extent of how many people didn't think that Shelly was real or weren't sure. And I was hurt by that. But I do know that like I'm not a super romantic person, and I think that maybe the way I talked about our relationship definitely was different than what people typically expect someone who's like madly in love to do or say. And another thing that I realized getting out of the house, when I look at the footage, me hanging out with Kyle, it looks so much more intimate than it ever felt. Because I knew in my head, I'm not into this guy. And I knew Shelly would know, I'm not into this guy like that. This is part of the game. I told her going in, I'm going to cuddle with people. They want to sleep in the same bed. They want to hold my hand. They want to give me a massage. I'm going to let them. I'm going to flirt. It means nothing. And so from my perspective, I was like, this is fine. Shelly knows where we are and we're good. But looking at it, I see why people watching and I see why other house guests would question that, because even though I didn't feel the intimacy, like I can see why people would look at it and assume it. And what I lacked foresight in is that I thought, okay, I'm good with Shelly, so everything's fine. But I forgot that other people are going to come to their own conclusions. Other people are not a part of my relationship. They don't know what we've discussed or how we feel about each other. And so they're going to come to their own conclusions, and that can lead them to do and say whatever they want. And unfortunately, Shelly did get harassed. People were messaging her online and trying to track her down. And that was a really big negative impact from the show that was on her.
I'm sorry.
I feel really bad about it because she is such a wonderful person, such a patient and loving girlfriend, and she didn't deserve that. And I take responsibility for that, because I think if I had thought about it a little more outside of myself and out of the game, I would have realized that maybe that wasn't a good game plan to act in the house, just in case people didn't understand it like it ended up that they didn't. And then of course it also, I think, ended up hurting my game in the house, because even my fellow house guests were questioning it, and that made them question if they could really trust me or want to work with me. So that's a huge mistake that I made, that I just have to own it.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate you even mentioning that. It really does suck. I mean, the fandom is, I mean, sometimes you get a ton of love, and sometimes you get some really, really crazy hate. And it doesn't matter who you are, even if you're the AFP, even if you're the winner of Big Brother, like everybody's susceptible to it, and we all deal with it in very, very different ways. It just really sucks that people would take it that personal as to attack somebody else that was not in the house. And like, people need to stop that. Yeah. I don't know when or where it's happening, when it'll happen, but y'all, yeah, that is really not cool. How how is that like? Is she also? She's kind of like her own little star as well
I
in
know.
this, right? She's gotten
She,
some love, yes, please,
yes,
because she's pretty dope.
she is being such a good sport about it. You know, she admitted it was really rough at a certain point in time, but then, you know, she said over time it has gotten better. And, you know, she's kind of joked with me. She actually really likes like cryptid creatures like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and stuff. And she was like, I kind of felt like my own cryptid creature. Like, do I exist or do I don't?
Oh,
And so she thought that was kind of fun, and she's joking about it. So, I mean, she's just, you know, she wants to be there for me and support me. So she's being the best sport about it that she can. And I am beyond lucky to have her.
If you ever I feel like boyfriends, girlfriends, and spouses, like partners in general, should all have like some type of support group where they just like get together and talk about their significant others being on this show, because it is not an easy thing. My husband has gone through it. He has fought battles for me on Twitter. He has, you know, yeah. So I totally get it. Like my heart goes out. My heart goes out to you. Let's talk about your experience in jury. Let's talk about, you know, you leaving. Jury was one of my best moments. I loved being in jury. Is there anything that you felt surprised about, like knowing anything specific, like about people in jury, or anybody that you got mega close to that maybe you weren't close to before?
Mm-hmm. I guess the biggest surprise for me was just how little bitterness there was in the jury house. You know, I was so nervous to show up there because I had a heavy hand in both Brittany and in DX's evictions, and I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna show up and they're just gonna hoop and holler and cheer and be like, yeah, serves you right, and then never speak to me the whole time I'm there. And that is not what happened at all. I came in, and you saw on the videos like talking about Kyle and how it affected me. They were both there for me immediately. And made me feel comfortable, and we just started hanging out and having fun. And especially as people started joining us, it got more fun and more fun, and I was really surprised and relieved and happy and grateful that we were able to have such a good time in the jury house and joke around and make stupid videos, and it was a really good time.
I loved that part. Mm-hmm.
question. Before you going backwards really quickly, what was your thought process on when Kylan was like, can you tell Brittany that I'm putting her up? And you went to go tell her right before he made his eviction nominations. What was your thought? Were you nervous about what you would say? Or were you just like, look, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to go outside and say it.
I was really glad that he asked me to do that. I know for me as a Big Brother fan and player, I would always want to have the opportunity to advocate for myself before it's too late. And I knew that I felt bad going into that veto meeting because I thought Brittany was going to get blindsided and she was going to be on the block before she ever got to even try to get off the block. So even though I knew it was probably pointless and that Kyle wasn't going to change his mind, when he asked me to tell her that, I felt really good about doing that because at least it gave her a chance to go up to him and talk to him one last time. Because I know for me, if I wasn't able to do that, then I would feel like I didn't do everything that I could. And I felt if she has that opportunity, then at least if she still goes up there, she can feel like, well, I campaigned till the very last minute and did everything I could to not end up there. So I that's the biggest reason why I was totally okay with doing it. Because even if I thought it made her mad, even if I worried that it might make it look a little shady, but I just didn't care because out of respect for Brittany and her game, I wanted her to have that opportunity.
Oh, I wish you would have talked to the feeds.
That is not what I know. That is not what a lot of us thought. We thought you were doing it on purpose to get her riled up and and I think that might have been like the edit as well. So now that I'm thinking about it, maybe the edit wasn't really making.
Yes, because now I'm like, oh, that's such a great reason. Oh, you
my
should have talked to the
gosh.
feeds.
And maybe it was
Wow.
because she was given just kind of like this villainous edit, but I actually liked your villainous edit. Like it because it wasn't like a mean villainous edit. It was like, I'm gonna be the villain because this is a show, and
Yeah.
and I'm taking it tongue in cheek. It's not like I'm being super malicious and I'm being like an asshole about this, and I am making personal moves and personal attacks on people, because that's kind of a different type, right?
Yeah,
I think we all know
absolutely.
that wasn't, I mean, I can't speak for you, but it didn't seem like that was your intention at all.
No,
Um,
never.
yeah. So, I mean, that's great that you cleared that up.
Yes.
I had no idea. See, no one's even asked me about that yet. So I didn't even know that had been perceived in a different way. So I'm glad you guys brought it up. That I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, you were definitely a lovable villain.
Yes, very much so. Well, I was scared, but the people loved it.
A little bit of fear is healthy.
So let's talk about your thoughts on the cookout, because you were one of the first people. I mean, Kyland had told DX about kind of, this group of people that he was working with, but he actually told you, you knew, kind of like played around about the secret alliance, and
Right.
he actually said it to you in your goodbye messages. So after knowing that, going into the jury house, talking to them, and knowing that this was a thing, like how did you feel, and how did you receive the information that when Tiffany came in, like when she told you about what was happening?
Right. It was really a crazy experience because initially I'm doing my post eviction interview with Julie, and I hear my goodbye messages, and initially I thought, okay, it's all 6 of them. And then I got to my hotel and I was up that whole night just in my hotel room, like, what just happened to me? And I started backtracking and I was like, man, it couldn't have been all 6 of them. Like, they didn't even like each other, and this happened, and this person said this to me. So then I started backtracking. So if you'll notice in the interviews that I did with that morning after I was evicted, I had backtracked and was like, okay, well, I know it's Kyland and X and Azza, but I don't know how big it is off of that. And then literally I'm in the car on the way to the jury house, and my brain's just thinking, and it just hits me like, no, it was all 6 of them, and they purposely paired up with duos so that they would sit on the block next to somebody outside of their alliance and send them home. And I just like bawled my eyes out. It was just like instant tears. I cried all the way. We pull up and they wanted to get like a cool shot of me like getting out of the car, and they're having to like bring a box of tissues like to the car because I'm just like a total mess. I'm like, let me get myself together. And so that was when I really figured it out. But the more I thought about it, it was just like, that was really genius. And of course, at that point in time, I didn't know how much of it was purposeful and not. So at first I was thinking, wow, they were staging fights. They were convincing people that they distrusted each other. Like, they really went above and beyond to make sure that we had no idea that they were working together. And a lot of talk that we had in the jury house was, who came up with the duo idea? We weren't calling it the master plan yet because we didn't know that was the name. We were calling it like the duo idea. We were like, who came up with that? Because they need to win this game. That was genius. It was flawlessly executed. Just so smart. So when Tiffany was evicted and she revealed to us that it was her master plan, we were all like, no, you have to be in the game. Like, you were supposed to win this. We all wanted to vote for you. It was so disappointing to know that the genius behind that ended up getting evicted first out of the Cookout 6. But overall, I feel really, really impressed. I think another thing that I learned when Tiffany came to the jury house was that a lot of those fights and the distrust, it wasn't even
Yeah.
staged.
A
It
lot of
was
It
people
was
are
very
real.
a
real.
lot of people are saying it in the chat, and I was about to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt you. But I was like, no, girl, those fights were real.
They were
Yes.
real, yeah. And so it just worked out perfectly, that even though they distrusted each other, at the end of the day, each one of them still stuck with the alliance, and that just worked perfectly to hide it. And I'm incredibly impressed by it. Like, all I can do is applaud it. Like, that was just so genius. It worked so well. And I'm really proud of all of them for sticking to it, especially for, Tiffany has told me multiple times that she didn't think that it was best for her personal gain, but she did it anyways because it was something that she believed in. And for her to actively choose a cause over her personal interests, like, that just goes to show like how amazing of a person that she is, and I have so much respect for that.
Yeah. How much of the relationship between you and Tiffany inside the house was real? Because I feel like you both were in all the jackpot, right? You were in your
Mm-hmm.
female alliance. I sent you a question regarding this, that you had jackpot and you wanted to kind of stay faithful to, like, or as close to them as possible, but put Claire on the block. How much of that relationship with Tiffany and with Claire, I mean, would that have been your other two people? Were you serious about keeping a relationship with them?
Mm-hmm. Early on when we first formed the jackpot, I felt really, really good at it. And unfortunately, I did tell Kyle about it because I thought he was sharing all of his alliances with me. He shared the butchers, he shared the slaughterhouse. So I thought, okay, this is what we're doing. I can trust him. And so I did tell him about the jackpot. And obviously he told Tiffany, and so the trust was fractured immediately there, but I did not know that. So I felt really good and was planning to run with the jackpot for a long time. And even though I was working with Kyle, I told him multiple times, and I said it in the DR too, and I said it to other people, I wasn't going to take Kyle to a final two. I would have much rather sat next to Claire at the end. And so sticking with the jackpot was absolutely something that I had intentions of doing. And even when I did put Claire on the block, I never ever intended for her to go home. And a big reason I put her up is because I unknowingly thought she was super safe, because I didn't think anybody was looking at her as a threat, because I didn't know about the cookout. And I have to give it for Kyle, because he really did help convince me of that, and convince me that she was a good pawn, even though he knew that wasn't the case. So props to Kyle for that. And when I was on the block, if somehow I had stayed and Kyle had gone home, I did intend to work with Tiffany and Claire, going forward in the game. I didn't really have any allies at that point, so I thought my best plan was to kind of lay low and show those two my loyalty, and then maybe try and start winning competitions, maybe 2 weeks later after that or something. I was really hoping that I could lay under the radar for a bit if Kylan had gone, but obviously I didn't know about the cookout, so it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
You are serious about the Kyle thing, and I am impressed. I am impressed. I am the grudge master in my family, but the way you are saying Kyle, I'm like, I need to do some work. I love it.
I mean, hey, that's why people love her so much. She's like, she does not care. That's what she said she was gonna do, and she's gonna do it. I really appreciate that about
I
you.
love it.
He
Yep.
tried to talk me out of it. He did. I remember, like, in the hotel, just like maybe the day after the show ended, he's like, no, we'll have to go back and watch the tapes, because I remember you phrased it a very specific way so that it wouldn't actually apply. And I was like, no. You betrayed me. You are now Kyle. That's just is what it is, and he's
I
gonna have
love
to
it.
deal with it. He's even Kyle, like, in my phone, so
We
To
love
a whole nother level.
we love it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Wait. Let's see. There was someone. Okay, so someone said, "Okay, were you actually thinking of nominating Alyssa and X during your
Ooh, good
HOH week?"
question.
I I don't know how my HOH week got edited, because I think I've gotten a few weird questions about it where it seems like people are kind of confused as to what was going on in my head. I knew that I wanted to decide whether I was going to work with Alyssa and X going forward, or if I was going to try and work with Derek X going forward. And I was kind of weighing both options. And a lot of the reason I ended up going with the nominations that I did was because I felt that it left it open for either one. Maybe I think Derek X was definitely my preference over X, because I never wanted to get rid of Alyssa because I felt like I could beat Alyssa at the end. X was more threatening to me than her. But I was leaning more towards Derek X because, he had this piece of information that he just refused to give me. I knew that he knew someone was talking about a vote flip, and he was like, I'm sorry, I just can't tell you who it is because I promised them they wouldn't. And in my head, I was like, okay, that just means you are more loyal to other people. Whereas X, I felt like had been showing me some loyalty in the game. I felt like Alyssa had been trying to show me some loyalty in the game. So I was kind of weighing my options between the two, and my preference was Derek X. But if at any point he had earned safety, then I probably would have tried to go after X instead, and then just kind of played it like, oh, Derek X, I want to play this game with you. I'm taking out X for you. Trust me, work with me. Also, by the way, who was trying to flip the vote? Please tell me. That kind of thing. And so that's why I very purposely never told Derek X not to play in the roulette. I think I told him something along the lines of, hey, if I were you, I would play in the roulette. And if he had, been drawn in the veto and played the veto and won the veto, none of those would have been end of the world scenarios for me. As far as like even who came off the block, like if Claire had come off instead of Derek F, like I would have been okay with that too. I might have just tried to send Derek F home because I did see him as a threat too, because I thought if this guy makes it too far, he's gonna make it to a final 2 seat. And I had expressed that to a lot of people in the house, and I was right.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of options that week. Derek X was definitely number one, but if he had earned his safety, I wouldn't have been in the DR like, no, I can't believe it, my HOH is ruined. I would have just been like, okay, on to the next one. And even when the roulette went and X went up on the block, I don't know if they showed this, but I remember being in the DR like, hey, maybe X will go home then. I don't care. It's got to be one of them. And then my plan was just to whoever I got, I would just try to work with whoever was staying going forward in the game.
No, and that makes so much sense, especially like you did have kind of a like kind of the shittier end of an HOH because of that roulette wheel. Like when you are an HOH, like it's so easy for me to do. I mean, me myself, a power move of like it's you and then it's you because there's nothing at play. Like mine was very straightforward. I wasn't trying to backdoor anybody. I said, I want both of you gone. Whoever, I don't care. One of you's leaving. So that was like my thought process. But when you get hit with with a twist and with like powers that you don't know how, it's just like there's just so much more to think about. And I think that gets lost in translation for people who watch it because they're like, what is she doing? Like, why isn't she doing A, B, and C and this, that, and the other? And it's like, well, I think y'all forgot. She's not watching. She doesn't know absolutely everything that's going on. And none of us do, right? So I like actually really applaud you. Definitely would have loved to hear you verbally say these things because I
know.
When you watch these live feeds and when I tell you Tiffany, Kyland, X, like all of them were just talking to the cameras so much that they were talking so much that I feel like that's why the live feeds were just surrounded by like they were basically getting all the time with their thoughts in the process because just because that was the content, right? And it made other people look like they weren't doing that they weren't doing the same thing, that they weren't playing. But just because you're not verbally saying it doesn't mean that you're not playing the game, right? Do you know that even though with the great relationship that you and Kyland have, from obviously the betrayal portion of it. You know how much he was an advocate for you staying, like, and that believe that he really did want you to take you as far as he could.
I
Uh-oh.
I haven't watched things for myself, so I haven't seen like so much evidence of that, and maybe it's just because my personal friends and family are not fans of Kyle. They
That
have
makes
not
it harder.
expressed that to me. They definitely haven't been spinning it in that light, but I have gotten a few messages and seen some things online of people saying like he really advocated for you, he fought for you, and then the biggest thing was Tiffany in the jury house, because I was really upset in the jury house because I didn't know how much of our relationship was fake or not. I had no way of knowing if maybe it was only the duo's plan that he ever continued working with me in the first place. I had no way of knowing what was true or not. And Claire and Alyssa, when they both got evicted, and I don't think in any malicious way at all, that just from their perspective, they were like, yeah, it did not look like Kyle cared at all that
Yeah.
we were evicted. He was totally cool about it, did not care, acted 100% normal. So I was really left there thinking like, dang, like this kid did not even care about me at all. Like I just got thrown out the window. But then when Tiffany came, Tiffany definitely, who had a closer relationship with Kyle, was like, no, that's really not the case. He was hurt that you were gone. He did want to play with you longer. He did advocate for you. He wouldn't let us say negative things about you and stuff like that. So I do think that probably is true, because obviously Tiffany was in the game and she would definitely know. So
Yeah. And I mean, he did I remember him shedding a tear, when you left. So it was like, I mean, and that was the whole thing. It's one of the reasons why I personally love, I mean, a lot of you, like I say, I really don't have any beef with personal beef, aside for things that happen that anybody would get, not anybody, but people would get upset about, things said in the moment, heat of the moment, some of the more women not getting the credit for the game that they've played, things of that nature. But that's not really a super personal thing. I think all of you were just like so great. Like this is a very historic season. So I think that you as a cast is like one of the best casts in Big Brother history. So like
Seriously.
I totally applaud you, for that, because you all played part so perfectly, in all of this. And I really do applaud you.
thank you
For that. It was like you by far were some of my favorite, it's by far one of my favorite seasons.
Yay.
It was really, really good. I have a question,
Mhm.
and I cannot remember the name of the veto competition, but did you think it was going to work? And were you afraid when it did? When you professed to Derek X, please, 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 give me this money, girl. You take over the toilet, and then I will keep the funds. Did you think it was going to work? And were you afraid after he was like, okay, I won't take it from you?
Okay, so that was Kingdom of Curl a lot.
Okay.
Hate that comp. Hate it. But I guess, well, Jessica would know this, but people who just watch the show might not know. There's actually a lot of time in between things. So when I opened my prize and saw that it was the $5,000, I actually had a bit of time before I had to decide, am I going to take the veto from Claire or am I going to keep this $5,000? And so I kind of ran through my head. I knew Brittany is going to take the veto no matter what, whenever she gets eliminated. There is no way that I end this game with the veto. I knew that Alyssa really, really, really wanted a veto, and she had kind of even indicated to me that she just wanted to compete for it. So I even thought Alyssa might take this veto from me.
Yeah.
And then, or go for the veto over a prize anyways, because she had said multiple times to me too, like, I'm going to go for the veto, I'm not going to go for a prize. And then Kyle, I knew he wasn't going to take a prize from me. And then Derek X, I thought, he's not going to take a prize from me. He put me on the block on my birthday and he's such a sweet guy. I don't think he'll do it. So I realized, dang, I think I can keep this 5,000 and nobody's gonna take it from me. And once I realized that, I was like, I have to do it. And of course, I've watched Big Brother. I know it's kind of like a decorum type thing to always take the veto, even if you know it's useless and you're not going to keep it. I knew people were going to see that and be really, really mad about it. But I just didn't care. I made the decision for myself that I wanted the money and I was going to do what I could to keep it. And I felt like I could still stay that week even if I kept the money. So I made that decision. I'm sticking by it. I don't really regret it. So when we came to the moment and it did look like Derek was going to take it from me, I was a little bit surprised because I didn't think that he was going to, but I thought, okay, I can't let this happen. So I just asked him, I was like, please don't do it. And then he didn't. And I was like, shoo, okay, keeping the money. So, you know, obviously if he had chosen, he beat me in the game. If he had chosen to take the money from me, I wouldn't have had a single hard feeling. That was his right in the game. I would have taken a punishment. And honestly, it probably would have been a really fun. But when I have $5,000 in my hand, I'm going to do what I can to keep it. I'm not made of money, so no regrets.
There you go. Unapologetic queen. She said it right there. She's like, I am very unapologetic about that. I mean, well, we'll have like last minute questions because we've already taken so much of your time. I didn't even know we ran an hour already.
Whoa, it goes so fast. Wow.
I know, right?
Almost 400 people here watching.
Whoa,
yes,
400 people.
Yes, everybody's like totally standing. You know, BB says SB is a good role model for young women who want to pursue sciences.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So did they know in the jury house that you were in the sciences or no? Like, did you tell? Yes.
I did, yeah. Once I got to the jury house, I told Brittany and DX, and then we were telling people all of our secrets as they came in. So by finale night, everybody knew except for X and Derek.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure. What was like out of all of their secrets probably the most surprising to you?
Oh, yeah.
Most surprising. I would have to say Chada's was the most surprising. I definitely had a sense that she might not just be a fashion student or a fashion student at all. Obviously, I was targeting her because I could tell she was extremely intelligent. But I did not know to the extent of which she was intelligent. And it was really cool and fun to find out that she is also going to be a woman working in STEM and that we both are nerdy science people. So that was surprising and really cool.
I was hoping you two would work together.
I know. I'm sorry.
You know, I was like, I say it all the time and to a lot of, I mean, I feel like I say it all the time here. I really do feel like if it wasn't the cookout, you know, if the cookout did not exist, there would have definitely been a female winner because all of the women were just so strong. I mean, like, and what's crazy enough is that it looked like you all were willing to kind of work with each other at one point in time. Like, so it's like, oh my gosh, okay, we got the cookout, but we didn't get that female alliance that that, you know, that just blew everybody out of the water. But we had the women that actually wanted, you know, that wanted to work with other women. Do you think, okay, so this is going to be like one of my last ones because I don't think I've ever asked anybody this, but since you were, you had a historic jury because I mean there was only 2 men in jury, but like in the jury house it was really only DX. Yes. So I think what people, and I'll ask Kyland when we have him in DX, but it was thought around the house that like if one of the women ended up in the final 2, that a woman would win because there was a majority females in the jury. Do you feel like that would have been the case? Was there like amongst the women, was it like if Aza makes it to final 2 or if before Chada came in,
good question.
Would it be like if one of those girls goes in, she's definitely going to win, we're definitely going to vote her?
I definitely think that if Chada or Tiffany had made it to final two, they would have had really, really good shots of winning the game based on discussions we had in the jury house. But I don't think that would have been because they were women. I think it was just because they played really good games. I
Yes.
would like to think that we would have voted objectively no matter what. But I also know as a woman, it is like I can't say 100% that the fact that someone wasn't a woman wouldn't factor in at all, because I do think it's easier for me to relate to women. It's easier for me to see the good points in women sometimes than it is in guys. So I do fear that if there had been a boy and a girl in the final two, I might have unconsciously been more biased towards the girl because I am a girl and I did kind of want a girl to win. But I was trying to be aware of that just in case it
Mhm.
happened so that I could vote as objectively as I could. And I think our jury this season was all the same. Over and over, I heard people trying to say, like, we want to vote for who had the best game. We
Yeah.
don't want to be emotional. So I think that if a girl would have won this season, it would have been 100% based on her deserving it rather than just her being a woman.
I love hearing that. This is the very last question because if not, we'll stay here forever.
Sure would.
Joseph said, okay, if Shelly wanted to play Big Brother one day, how would you feel about that? How do you feel she would do as someone who, as a Big Brother player? Do you think, first of all, do
Oh
you even think that
gosh.
she would want to do that?
No, no. I had to kind of beg her to even do the filming when I got my key reveal, which it turns out they didn't use any of the footage that she was in, anyways. But she was really nervous even to do that. She's a pretty private person. I can't see her ever doing anything like Big Brother. I'm the crazy one in the relationship. She's like the chill, stable one that was like, she really looked at me doing this show and was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna win. It's gonna be great. And she's like, okay. So I don't see her ever doing it. I do think, however, if she did go on the show, I think she would do well. I think she's smart. She definitely gets along with people really easily, and she's adorable and sweet. So I think she would do well if she did, but I don't think she
Oh,
ever would.
Yeah, it's hard. I feel like it's a consensus that like the people that actually play Big Brother are some of the most outgoing and out there people in their family. You know what I
yeah.
Yes.
mean? And
The
so
extroverts.
yeah,
Yes.
the extras. And then going into the house, you're with a whole bunch of people that are very much like you with a lot of just personality. And then that turns you into am I going to be the most dominant personality here? Or am I just going to like become all of a sudden this type of introvert
Yes,
because
yes.
there's just so many personalities. There's just so much energy
Yes,
out
I
there.
felt like an introvert in the house, and that was weird because I have never felt like an introvert among my friend groups ever. And I've always been like, yeah, I'm really personable and out there. And then I got into the Big Brother house, and I was like, oh, no, that's what personable and out there looks like.
That-
That's what it looks like. I don't know what I am, but I'm not that.
So
So
you thought you were an extrovert, like before you got into
I
the house?
did. I definitely did. But I could tell when I got in the house that I was among at least that group of people, I was one of the more introverted ones for sure.
Oh wow. Okay.
I know I see it all the time, especially now, like after I've gotten out. I felt the same. I'm someone who would probably relate to you a lot more because there were a lot of personalities on mine as well. And I felt like I turned into an introvert as well. And yeah, I get it. And that is one of the things that I'm just like, wow, I guess I'm not that person. But we saw like a lot of people looked at your, they found your social media, they saw some of, your performances. You have a
Yes.
beautiful voice. You're so
Thank
Yeah.
you.
talented.
Oh gosh,
Like
thank
I
you.
love no, for real. And I think that it takes a lot for you to just like get up on a stage and perform in front of a whole bunch of people. Like that's not an introverted type of
Right.
thing to do.
Sure.
Like
Right.
so I totally get it. Okay, I lied. This is the last question. Would you
Okay.
do All Stars?
Um I think if it was just me in my life, I think I probably would do All Stars. I love the game of Big Brother so much, and I would love to have another chance. But I would have to look at how it affected my family and my loved ones and my girlfriend. And I think it was really rough on them
That's
to
fair.
see people say really mean things about me in the house and online. And I have already had my mom and my girlfriend both be like, okay, you did it. Please don't do it again.
Not
Please
again, yeah.
don't.
That was my
So-
husband. That was totally my husband as well. So I think you are not alone in that
Yeah.
at all.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that is a hard decision. And you have time, I feel like. I don't think that there's going to be another All Stars for a while. I think
True.
that,
2030.
you know, I think that, are you going to be watching the show? Do you have plans on like watching the entire show?
I will definitely be watching the future seasons, Celebrity Big Brother and Big Brother 24. I don't think I could resist not watching them. Will I ever watch back my season? I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
find out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So
and I
do
feel
it.
and I had to ask it, and for those who are watching, like just give the house guests their time. This I mean, like I've been out for 2 years, and I still get kind of like PTSD about it. There's still things that trigger me. There's still relationships that are trying to be mended, and things that are like this is a very slow process. It's they've been gone for 80 plus days. They want to be with their families. Sometimes because we love the game, I think it's very natural for us to just want to talk about our experiences. And I think that helps a lot. But, I think at your due time, girl, I know that like someone like Rockstar, she didn't watch her season until like a couple months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not.
That's
You're
gonna
not.
be me. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be me.
yeah. That's not.
It's gonna
That's
be
not
2030,
uncommon.
and I'm like, okay, time to watch Big Brother 23.
Yeah, it took me. I think it took me 6 months to watch my show, and I was very much that person. Like I lived it, so I mean, I don't really need to watch back to see my experience, because what my experience was the real experience, because it was my
Right.
experience. That's how I felt, and that's and then everything. It takes time for you to see everything else and digest it in your own time. So good for you. We love you here. We wish you like the very best, but we would also love to have you back on. I mean, we are going to be
Yay.
recapping Celebrity Big Brother. So if ever you want to come back as one of our co-hosts and talk about the game, we would love to. It's actually pretty therapeutic to start talking about other people versus yourself, like in that situation.
I can't wait.
That is a very, very therapeutic process. I could tell you that, but yes, at any point in time, please,
Awesome, I would
you
love
are
that.
you are welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of
Thank
this.
you.
For
Hey.
everybody who's watching, and Sarah, if you could stay really quickly so we can just say goodbye to you formally after we get off. For those who if this is your first time, click like, subscribe, click to receive the notifications. If you didn't like this video, like it now.
Yeah,
We
thumbs
thank
up.
you for coming. Tomorrow, we have a back-to-back recap. So we will have Alyssa on, and then we will also have Claire on right after her. So this is a 2 for 2. Wait, are they 2 for 2? Yeah.
It's Women's Week.
It is Women's Week. It's my birthday. So like I have to have
happy
all of
early
that.
birthday.
Thank you, boo. Like I just have to have all of the, the I hate saying female now. Like I hate how seasons like take words and then they just
ruin them for
they
you.
just ruin them.
Yeah.
Like did you know, Sarah, that the term female, like people like started having a big problem with it after your season?
Really? No, I've not seen that yet. Uh-oh.
Yeah, there were a few people earlier on that just kept on saying female, but it felt very it just felt very unnatural, like if it wasn't like a very endearing or empowering term, so now like people are like, they need to stop saying female, so sorry. I go on rants like this a lot. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Make sure that you're here for next week. Yes, and on Tuesday, we also have a back-to-back. We have DX, and we have Kyland. So So if there's
Oh,
anybody
wait,
that has any questions, if there's anybody that has any questions, I know, but you
that's the
know,
surprise because she would
that's the
not tell me,
surprise.
and I've been wanting to know, and I've been wanting to interview him. I wanted him to sniff me. I'm excited.
What is that?
Remember,
What
he
does
would
that
sniff
even
everything
mean?
in the house.
Oh wow.
Oh,
He
you have to
did.
watch. You have to watch the show, Sarah Beth, because he sniffed everything.
Oh,
Kyland
You
sniffed
saw
saw
it. You
it.
knew. You
Oh,
saw
okay.
it. You knew. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I can't even with that comment, that whole comment. Well, no, seriously, we thank you for coming. Everybody, we love you guys so much. Thank you. And we will see you next time.